From the time you're born until the time you get married, you are on a journey by yourself. Just you, numero uno, single. But when you get married, you're now on a journey with someone else, your spouse. Do you know what's in your spouse's baggage? Do you know what's in your own baggage? Why don't you stay with us and we'll find out.
Free clothes, free education, free electronics, free food, free everything. Can you afford free? Get free products for yourself. Give away free products to others. Get paid. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Visit our websites. Your pocket will thank you.
We are going to deal with the bad and the ugly before we get to videos that deal with the good on marriage, because there's a lot of good in marriage. So we decided to start with one of the most serious subjects that we could start with to begin this series. So we're going to talk about baggage, the baggage that you bring into a marriage that you've accumulated over all your previous years before you met your spouse. So if you're ready, let's go. Again, we're going to deal with this from the Christian perspective. So understand that. When I first met Delisa, she had a lot of baggage, and I most definitely had a lot of baggage. Dee and I dated for 7 years before we got married. And it was not possible for either her or myself to know completely what was in each other's bags. Just look at it from this perspective. When you're going on a trip, you usually pack the clothes that you need to go on the trip. If you're going with somebody else and you pack all casual clothes and your spouse packs all dress clothes, what are you going to do then? You can't even go anywhere together because you don't even have the clothes that are compatible with each other. What happens if your spouse buys something and she packs it in her bag, or he packs it in his bag, and it's something that you don't like? Now, and they take it out of the bag, and you say, no, I don't like that. I don't want you. Don't wear that around me, or don't wear it, period. Guess what? Now you got a problem. This happens in marriage all the time. Why? Because over the course of years that you've been living, you've accumulated things in your bags. And you've accumulated them, and sometimes when you get married, these things come out of the bag. And you should not be surprised at what is in the bag. I guarantee you right now that there are things in your spouse's bag that you did not know and you do not know are there, and they're going to come out at some point in time when time and opportunity present itself. We're going to deal with that in a few seconds. But it is truly mind-boggling to know what could possibly be in the bags of your spouse. And keep this in mind. That baggage has a whole bunch of secret compartments that they may not even know is there. Imagine this. You've been packing your bags all your life. You don't know what's in your spouse's bag. You may not even know what's in your own bag. And you pack them. So keep in mind that this is a very, very, very delicate way to be able to understand what's going on with my spouse. And you have to be able to observe your spouse before you get married. When you're dating, you have to be able to judge their character. Character is key. And the only way that you can do that is through prayer, observation, and discernment, so that you can make a decision that is correct for you, for your life, and for your spouse, because you want to be able to understand what could possibly be in this person's character, so because anything can come out of the bag at any time. Now, is it possible that a person that you can see through them 100% and they be 100% transparent? Absolutely not. The news is replete with the stories of couples, famous couples, that you see where the spouse did something that their spouse never knew that this was even in him. It was there all the time. They may have seen it or they may have ignored it, but now it's come out, and now they fully realize what they're dealing with that they didn't realize before. And now they've got to deal with it, and they've got to make some adjustments or make some decisions on what they're going to do from this point on. Now, once something comes out, now not only do you have to deal with it, but you have to decide now, where does this leave us? What are we going to do from this point on? And they more than likely thought, my spouse would never do what they see them doing now. Because that was always there. Listen to me. I want you to listen to me very carefully. If your spouse has something in the bag that comes out and you think that you can change them, forget that. That is never going to happen. You are not going to change the behavior of your spouse. In order for your spouse's behavior to change, they have to want to change it. If they don't make a decision that they have a problem or there's an issue or there's something that needs to be fixed, then no matter what you do, you will not change it. They have to make that decision, along with the fact that they say, listen, Lord, help me get through this problem or get through this situation so that it doesn't become an issue or remain an issue in my marriage. If your spouse has, I'm going to say it again, if your spouse has baggage or your spouse has issues that need to be changed, they can only change it by deciding to do that themselves and through the grace of God. There is nothing you can do to change somebody. Marriage is not going to alter that. It's not going to alter bad behavior. So be very well aware of that and be aware that they have to make that decision. Now, don't marry some knucklehead who think that you think that you can change. Again, that's not going to happen. It'd be better off for you to stop it from that point on when you see something that you don't think you can handle and go your separate ways, rather than to say, I'm going to marry them and I'm going to change them and now we're going to live a happy life. Not going to happen. As a matter of fact, don't even get yourself into that situation, because it's going to be harder to get out than it was to get in. Now, that's not to say that the Lord can't change somebody. Of course the Lord can change somebody. If they want to be changed, He can. I'm being redundant because this is a really big issue. But even the Lord doesn't force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. He doesn't force His will on them. If they don't want to change, not even the Lord can help them. Again, whatever's in the bag, it could be good or it could be something bad. Most of the time it's something bad, because you never say to somebody, look, hey, you never say when you're talking about somebody, if you do that, look at this guy, man. He's messed up. Look at her. She's got all these issues. And you never say that. It's usually something bad because you're not giving them a compliment. So don't take for granted what could come out of that bag. For example, domestic violence. Domestic violence is high. Do you think that somebody who's a victim of domestic violence, when they were small and they saw that behavior happening, they looked at who it was happening to and said, wow, I would like to have somebody who beats the living daylights out of me? You think that they said that? Absolutely not. But not every situation is come out of the bag and now they got to deal with it. What about infidelity? Infidelity is another thing. That there are signs all around, and sometimes people ignore it or they just don't want to be aware of it, and then they have to meet and deal with it in marriage, and that is not the place to deal with it. You don't want to deal with it there if you can deal with it before. Now, there may be signs of this prior to marriage, and you've got to be able to discern them, again, through prayer and close observation, because you are making a life decision. And it's impossible for us to deal with all the different situations that could possibly occur in marriage, but let's deal with two, for instances. Let's, for instance, you're going with a guy, and he has a spinning head. And you know he's got all these calls on his cell phone. He's got this woman calling, this one calling him. He's dealing with all these posters on his wall or on the internet, or he has friends who are womanizers, or you know that he hangs with a group of guys who, they're always into women. We're going to talk about that mentality in another video as well. But you know that may not be the marriage material for you. And you gotta make a decision. What about if a woman, she has, all this money on her all the time, and she's always betting on something, and she always has money, you don't know where she gets it from, she's always spending money, you don't know where she gets it from. That is a serious situation, and maybe she has a gambling problem, and they may need help, but if they don't get the help before, don't think that you're going to marry them and you're going to alter that after they get married. It's just not going to happen. All right, so keep this in mind when you're dealing and you're looking for someone to marry, that there's baggage there, and at some point or other, it's going to come out. Now, the point is that any number of things could happen and accumulate over the course of a person's life, and marriage usually brings some of those things out. Let me give you an example of that, of what time and circumstance means. Because sometimes if the circumstances are right and time presents itself, a person will do what they never thought they would do and what their spouse definitely never thought they would do. Let me give you an example, couple number one, couple number two. Couple number one, the husband was involved in infidelity. And he was being counseled by couple number two. And husband in couple number two, he said to person couple number one, the husband, do you think that I would ever do what you just done or be involved in behavior that you've just been involved in? It just so happened that several years later, couple number 2 went through exactly the same thing. The husband, he was a musician, went on the road, and now he had all these affairs on the road that his wife and he himself never, ever thought that he would participate in. Time and opportunity present itself. So if your character is not of such that you can withstand a number of situations, you may very well be able to fall. So you get to a place where you say, oh, my spouse would never do that. You're setting yourself up for possibly a big, big disaster. But if something does happen, you have to be prepared to love your spouse through it and stick with them no matter what the situation is. In this first video, it's certainly not our intention to or attempt to discourage anybody from getting married. Quite the contrary. Marriage is a wonderful institution, and it can be a very, very, very powerful journey. If you're looking to get married, observe every single thing you can about your spouse. Observe the way they handle money. Observe the way they go to their job. Observe their family. You better observe their family, because in some instances, a lot of times you're very closely connected with the family. That's something we're going to deal with in a separate video. But you want to make sure that you look at everything about them. Why? Because their life is going to become your life, and you're in it for life. This is Peter G. signing off. Until next episode, when we're going to deal with the subject called The Line. God bless, and remember, love chose you.